Welcome to Palworld. Have you ever wanted to abuse your Pokemon? If so, this may be the game for you. Pokepair took a nice good look at Pokemon and said, fuck it, let's do what they refuse to do, and spewed out this amazing game. Nintendo didn't like that, and tried to pull a Higuruma domain expansion. Unfortunately, according to the Versus Battles wiki, Palworld pulled a fucking Bob the Red Round tomato, and is high-diffing Nintendo right now. I'm as shocked as you are about a fruits tier being possibly 8B. This is George, with a period. The period is very important.
Bruh.
To start, you wake up, wondering where Wilson went, obviously having been in a shipwreck. You pick up a virus-riddled iPad with the screen spewing out ominous nonsense, and walk off like an absolute diva. The first thing any normal human being would do is beat the shit out of the first chickpea you see. Unfortunately, this may lead to a horde of pals chasing you down. One of the first things you should do is place down a pal box. This is your base, and you want to utilize it as you gather resources, build, and craft. A very normal thing to do is accidentally light yourself on fire when building your base. I've done this an abnormal amount of times. You could say it's quite an enlightening experience.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What
As
the
you build
fuck?
more stuff, you can level up your base to unlock more PAL slots to utilize slavery to its utmost potential. Ideally, your pals would work without the need for basic necessities. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Pals can and will throw fits refusing to work, forcing you to give them beds and food. At least our buddy Goomoss is enjoying himself. Maybe a bit too much. Every PAL has a partner skill, and some required gear you must unlock at a certain level and craft at a PAL gear workbench. As you level up, you unlock access to more weapons, armors, decorations, and more. For any new players, do not increase the XP gain in the settings until reaching level 30 to 40ish. I've done 2 full playthroughs and I still get hella overwhelmed from how behind you get. Being level 30 will not save you from the level 10 pals without the gear. A good way to level up early is to excessively abuse and capture pals, and not dying in the process.
Nope.
There are a few side quests, but these are usually lacking in decent rewards and XP. I have always hunted down alpha pals, or bosses, and captured them for lots of XP. The Pen King boss is unnecessarily hard for its own level, especially with my 3 times pal spawn rate, which I turned on for some reason, so I just burn them all alive in their sleep. You could say things got a bit heated. Sorry. When I think of Palworld, I think of the saying, 92 is half of 99. While XP may not increase exponentially, it still skyrockets in the later levels. XP-wise, around level 45 is the middle ground for XP gained. This isn't an entirely bad thing though. As you progress, you need to spend more time collecting and crafting the resources required to obtain much better workbenches and gear. Alpha pals become more of a thing of the past as you start grinding your life out to get enough Hexalate or Corlum ore. Most of late game is gathering resources, leveling pals, and breeding. Breeding is quite basic, but very important for creating the perfect pal. Breeding is self-explanatory. 2 pals, sometimes a questionable mix, do the devil's tango and creates an egg with a specific new pal inside of it. You hatch, you get, you own the pal inside of it. And the cycle repeats as long as you supply the 2 parent pals with freaky cakes. Every pal has some sort of passive skill, good or bad. When you breed 2 pals, any passives they have will have a significantly higher chance of being passed down to the child than leaving up the chance. When breeding, you need to aim to use parent pals with the best passives possible, which are hard to obtain in the first place. Most notable of the bunch is Demon God for party pals, and Remarkable for base pals. These and other tier 4 passives are extremely rare and require lots of capturing and breeding to obtain, unless you are lucky. Typically, pals are bred into their perfect form for raids, which are literally just big, scary bosses that'll destroy your pals unless they're built to max performance with multiple generations of breeding. More of an early to mid-game feature is the towers. The towers have a powerful trainer and pal waiting in there for any challengers. Sounds familiar? I only bring them up now because after the latest few updates, they introduced 2 new towers with the difficulty scaling much higher than the previous towers, and unlike their predecessors, you can't run into them with random pals expecting to win. They require a bit of planning and more perfected stats on your pals. I haven't even beaten the Favorite final boss, and I have a pretty fleshed out pal team at max level. Endgame feels more so in perfecting your output for items and bases and stats on pals, but also grinding raid bosses for raid drops, which some people love and some don't. This game has some pretty fucking cool pals. While the game's lore states things about pals being extremely violent and having some pretty cruel practices, the game doesn't really have any of those in the game, most likely to keep the age rating down. A good example of this is Splatterina, found on Faybreak. They like to rip apart their victims limb for limb. Some, on the other hand, have more comedic descriptions for their Palpedia entry. Let me read a few for you. Tansy. Long ago, this pal used long objects like tree branches as weapons. After coming into contact with humans, however, found something slightly more effective. Guns. Mazzarina. Milk pours from this pal like water from a faucet, regardless of its gender. It's truly a mystery of life, although this mystery may be better left unsolved. Lovander. Seeking a night of love. It is always chasing someone around. At first, it only showed interest in other pals, but in recent years, even humans have become the target of its debauchery. The devs knew what they were doing when making its entry number 69. And Gloopy, be sure to check your plans for the next day before falling asleep with this pal. Its suction cups leave marks that look suspiciously like hickeys. One sleepy cuddle session can lead to some truly awkward misunderstandings. And like Pokemon, everyone has a favorite. Me, I have multiple. Foxbarks. I absolutely love Foxbarks. And its ice variant so much. They're so adorable, I literally die for them, which I have before. Azirmane. This is a sick mount, and it was the first pal I got the passive Demon God on. It also has a dash ability that has a second long cooldown at max condensation, and I love to use that. Smokey, just a Let's Go Foxbarks. Yakumo. This pal is amazing. I absolutely love its partner skill, which makes it so it can pass down its passives to captured pals. Amazing, made my life so much easier. And finally, Herbal. Just look at this dude. No thoughts inside that tiny brain. But clearly, I am very generous with the quote-unquote favorite title. But I'm not generous with the title of pals I genuinely despise down to my very core, which is deeper than the Mariana fucking Trench. I have 2, and only 2. Gobfin. I have a burning rage that never rests toward this pal. There is an area where only these little shits spawn, and they brutally murdered me when I walked through when exploring. And ever since, I haven't caught more than a singular one I butchered. You'd think I'd have beef against its flame variant, but I actually don't. They're pretty chill. And Nyafia. I don't even know how to say this name. These fuckers would always attack me when I was exploring Faybreak, and they were very strong for my level. I always ran away before they could beat my ass into yesterday, but they still terrorized my very existence. Alright, enough yapping about my opinions on certain pals. Time to actually discuss the important stuff. Every pal can be leveled up, that is obvious. But what I haven't talked about is condensing and using souls. You can condense the same type of pal into another to make them stronger. This is 5 levels, each level increasing the pals needed exponentially. Every condensation level increases their stats and also makes their partner skills stronger. Souls is an entirely different type of leveling system. When exploring, you can find souls on the ground, in chests, whereas drops from very specific pals. These souls, ranging from small pal souls to grand pal souls, can be used to upgrade a specific stat: attack, health, defense, and work speed. One level doesn't make much of a difference, but as the upgrades accumulate, it can make the difference of your pal being a weak and feeble opponent to the final boss. Combine everything in the game: the main leveling system, breeding passives onto pals, condensing and soul upgrading, and you can make an absolute unit that destroys almost everything. The map is absolutely stunning. There's enough beauty in this game to make a grown man cry. The map has several zones with many different level ranges. The way the zones are made makes you think that you're meant to choose where you spawn with a few choices, especially because of the only spawn location in the game. But the game is only in early access, so that might be the case eventually. Even though you have the freedom to, you shouldn't rush to the high level areas because you won't be able to gain much from the locations at the start. You get everything you need in the main area you spawn in. There are multiple islands in the game, including a volcano themed island, a desert themed island, and an ice themed island, along with a Japanese themed island and what I can best describe as a chaotic themed island, Faybreak. Each one has resources that can only be found in that specific area, making them crucial for different parts and stages of the game. Every island has multiple alphas and dungeons to clear, providing many challenges or walks in the park depending on your pals. I've always had a thing for taking screenshots in games, and this game is absolutely amazing for that. If I had $1 for every time I've rewritten this conclusion, I'd have $2. You'd have to buy a fucking popsicle in today's economy. I'm writing this shit like fucking Bruce Almighty just to delete it all because it doesn't feel right. I think Palworld is an amazing game with so much charm and so much potential, and I can't wait to see what the devs are cooking for the next update and full release of version 1.0. There is so much that I left out that this video could be compared to Season 5 of Stranger Things. So go check out Palworld to experience everything mentioned and not for yourself. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Where the fuck is my curtain? There it goes.